not yet satisfied.
And I think it's kind of sad for the state, for us as Kiwis to be in. And I think it happens worldwide, but I think for especially, because we're quite a small community, right? When you can look at like, places that are like 100 million people in it, 30, 40 million people in a city, right? Or something like that. Or 8 million, oh, sorry, I should say 3 million people just in one city, whereas like 5 million of us in entire New Zealand. So it's, I think it's, like child death should make us all scream and yell, right? And like like in, they said render and pull your hair out, tear your clothes, because that's how we should behave at these things, because it's the evilest thing you can think of is child abuse and child murder. And that's why like you get, prison justice. Let's go back to this one. We'll just watch this through. And we're about, actually, no, I don't think I want to talk about this anymore. All right, how are you doing with your artwork, bud?
I'm doing all right. I guess finalizing the children situation. I had my own thoughts. Of course, I got my politics. I don't like to rein in on politics very much with my art.
Yeah.
But I do. With all the politics, of course, I have politics. I have personal politics, but I don't like to affect my art brand very much with it.
Yeah.
And because it can taint the look and feel, and it can taint the joy of art. But I do like to get into it enough where, think about it as, how far should Nike get into politics? How far should some of these big brands get into politics, right? They almost shouldn't. And then it can, how far should Budweiser get into politics? Well, you got to watch out as a brand, right? So,
yeah.
But you also want to be socially aware enough. And that's where I keep coming to terms with it as being a person and being a art brand wannabe. So where I got it with children, so to a point, was this artwork here.
Yep.
Make tacos, not war, because I had my taco art, and I had Shepherd Ferry has Make Art Not War. I don't know if you've ever seen Make Art Not War. So I want to do my take on that. Make tacos, not war. I thought it was fun. And then I started an idea where a little part of this artwork would go to to some fund, and I think it might be UNICEF. I don't know what which one I'm going to donate to, but I haven't really sold very many of it. But it's all it's part of the proceeds were supposed to go to help children that were adversely affected by war, because I thought about Ukraine, and now I think about Palestine, and I think about some of these places where the children are being affected by war. They don't have they don't have food anymore sometimes, and things like that, and it saddens me. So that's where I think, as an art brand, or as any type of brand can get into, they can just donate maybe to a charity. And if anyone has a charity they think is honorable, because that's the thing, is like, here you're giving money to charities. Right? Well, is UNICEF is honorable? I had to start researching it a little bit, and because you want your money to go to something that's honorable, right? Like, there again, you're giving your money to an organization. What are they doing with that organization? Are they funding something that you don't want to be funded, or what? So I'm still kind of up in the air about what company I want to donate proceeds to and how I want to do it. But that's basically where I got with the art brand is, children being adversely affected by war or society, they need help. So as far as a brand goes, that's basically what I can say is, it sucks, and if I can help, that I'd like to. So, so parts of the proceeds of this artwork are going to go towards that,
Right.
in one way or another. When I make money off of it, I probably made $10, so I probably gotta send a couple bucks somewhere. But UNICEF, I think, is the one that I'm thinking about right now, off the top of my head.
Yeah.
There's
So here, I'm going to let you carry on about that in a minute. But here, Nugget goes,
that's about
Ari,
it.
do you remember when the media was going after Oranga Tamariki? That's a group that we were talking about before. About Ministry of Children, New Zealand Ministry of Children, for lifting a newly born due to the young mother having such a bad record from previous kids of hers. He goes, it was weird that the media seemed to completely disregard the history of the mother and danger that the baby was in. Yeah. I think I remember that. And that was, it's like, you can't have both, right? You can't, like, that's why I say, there's one thing, protect the children. That's it, right? At the end of the day, you can work out all the rest later, but protect the children first, right? And we talked about earlier about, like, war orphans. So one of, like, Incredi-Girl, right? I'll talk about Incredi-Girl. So if you read the web comic for Incredi-Girl, you find that, like, she's actually, let me bring this up here. Where are we? She's like, I'll tell you the story behind her, right? So Incredi-Girl basically started out while I was sitting in church, right? The concept behind it, not like later I turned it, when I didn't even think of her being a superhero at the time or anything like that, because that came in like about 2007. So around about, around about 2003, I think it was, we just moved, my ex-wife and I just moved down to Invercargill to study. She was going to do IT and I was going to do filmmaking. That's the only reason I went, because they had a filmmaking course there, right? There's going to be zero fees, but still ends up costing you money because, you got to live and spend money on, like, food, rent, if you want to have, like, get out and watch a movie or something, that's all money, right? So it ends up costing you anyway, because you end up working because you want a better life. You don't want just to have a boring student life. So I'd get about 2 jobs and so on. But, like, one of the times, like, one of the churches I attended, right, and I've attended a church for religious needs in, like, about 2 decades now. Sometimes I'll go to an event because a niece or nephew would be doing a concert or something at the group, but that's about it. So one of the people there who was speaking was talking about Romania under Ceausescu, about all these babies that were orphans of war, and we're talking, war orphans. We're just talking about that here. This is why I bring it up, and so all these, and this is why I'm so anti-communism, right? And fascism and all that, because I've studied this shit, right?
Mm-hmm.
I've looked at the history and stuff. And so one of the things about Ceausescu was that for decades, right, the dude would, like, imprison journalists, artists, and doctors, and anybody who spoke out against them. And obviously artists are, like, use art to communicate, right? We can do a, like, cartoon strip, comic strip, whatever, and we can put it out there and say, show you, like comedians do, in very quick way, creatively, a point, right? A message. And so journalism and artists were, like, the first people head on the block. Chuck them off, and the parents would disappear, and the babies would be chucked into orphanages, right? And so we saw images. It's all about, around about 2000s. On here in New Zealand, there was, like, news items about it. And then so I saw this lady who'd actually just been to Romania, and she was talking about how, these kids need help, their babies need help. So I'm watching this, and I'm watching images I'd already seen on the news. And so of babies having their pieces of cloth tying to their ankles, tying to metal cots, right? Bassinets and stuff like that, because there wasn't enough people to look after them, and because nobody gave a shit, about these babies. And so you had babies in their own waste, like excrement, you know, in their own poo and urine, lying there 3 years and under, or, 5 years and under, around this fucking mess, you know, orphanage, you know, room and whatever. And so in 2007, when I was writing the story, like I said to my niece, I said, look, I'm thinking about, you know, doing a superhero, you know, and so on. And that's the story, and, you know, about how she came about, because she's like Incredi-Girl, the character, right? The real person behind her. I mean, real in the fictional world, right? The person who dons the mask, Ella, Ella Joy Johnson, right? She's actually an orphan. She's adopted by a Kiwi family, and so on. And the webcomic is there, so you can read that, and you already know all that, right? Actually, let me bring that up. On our, where are you? There you are. On the actually, there's that one there. I should bring that up in a minute. So this is, so if you ever want to read, you know, while you're waiting to read the webcomic, I mean, not while you're waiting, but if you ever want to read the webcomic, you know, there's 2 issues of it's already out. It's, you know, it's black and white. It's done in a different art style. This is why I say about, like, I went and got another artist and so on. So they're going to pop over to somewhere else. I'm on the same. There we go. So there is the link for it in the chat, but here it is there. So you can plungecomics.com/Incredi-Girl, Incredi-Girl. And so 2 issues are there. There's about 40 odd pages, if I remember right. I haven't looked at it for a while. So in there, will tell you about, you know, it's kind of like has more, because it's loading up a page a day. I mean, a page a week kind of thing. So I was doing a lot of work on it. Like, there's a lot more text than the comic book, like the digital, the full color comic book that we put out on Kickstarter. So you get a bit more information from that about her background and so on. And, you know, kind of like an origin story and whatever. Issue 3 will probably come out sometime. I'm just like been working on the digital, you know, on the actual comic print release. And so haven't really gone back to that because, like I said, I wanted to release a high quality book, which I'm proud of. And, you know, if you see the Kickstarter for it, you'll see how good the artwork is. And, you know, we have this, you know, that's why I love Kickstarter so much. It's allowed us to, you know, we didn't make money on it, but it allowed us to put out something really cool, you know, quality wise. So, you know, you can see here, you know, the work we put into it, you know, the variant covers, the art, the color work, you know, variant covers. Shane Evans there. Another one, you know, James D. Hill cover there, something, you know. And yeah, so I mean, my first book being about a child war orphan, right? And I think it's really when you start, like I said, I always research a lot into whatever topic I'm doing, whatever I want to write about, because at the end of the day, even though you're creating fantasy and fictional worlds, it's, you know, I find it pretty cool that you can use that to, you know, real life situations, and because not everybody knows everything, right? And sometimes you know, it can be, you can educate people if it's entertaining, because nobody wants to be, you know.
Well, you can throw your politics in there slightly. You know, we talk about it with X-Men just recently, how X-Men teaches the inclusivity of people, and, you know, it gets into anti-racial, anti-society topics, and explores, you know, how people should be accepted, you know. So back in the day, Stan Lee threw that in there, you know, and he did it in a way that was, you know, through mutants, you know. You know, so, yep. I mean, I get it. I'm gonna hit the restroom real quick. I'll be back.
Yeah, all right.
I'm gonna put up my be right back screen.
Sweet. So yeah, I think it's great to be able to. I mean, this is what I mean. Like, I love things that make me get like entertain as well as a bit of like a nugget about life. And so, you know, you don't like. So when I did the whole the actual this book, right, the Incredible #1 with the drawing of. I didn't put a lot of what I put in the web comic in there. Because the web comic's the web comic, right? So I wanted the story in this to be more fun and more, more sort of like, because it's for all ages. I don't want to bring in the whole this is what happened and lots of all this stuff about all this history behind a character, but just if you ever wanted to know, you could just go read the webcomic, right, for free. So, and I think, if you can do things really cool, and I like, if you don't force it, you can tell really cool stories that are, real life and stuff like that. If you're entertaining, the first thing is you got to tell a good story, right? It's got to be entertaining. If it's not entertaining, then you bored your audience and they won't ever come back. If they do come back, they'll be like, oh, I don't know what the hell's he going to say next. So, you gotta have fun time reading the comic. I think that's a great thing about comics. It has to be fun, and you can tell a serious story through it, and still make it fun, right? I mean, entertaining, not fun in the sense of like, but like entertaining. And I think, there's a lot of great comics doing, artists, creatives doing that. And those that are doing that are really working, that 20 years later, 30 years later, still people are buying them, right? They're still following them, right? That still means, still important to that. So here's the cup now. Let me just grab old Ella away. And so